call meeting to order, 7:02, please. We have an adjustment to the agenda. Under 6, we will have 6A and 6B and 6C. And will you remove number 8, please? I'll take a motion for consideration of the minutes of Wednesday, May 16th, 2012, Wednesday, May 23rd, 2012, and Wednesday, May 30th, 2012, school board meetings. Motion to accept. Motion?
Second.
Second. Any discussion, any errors anyone saw, or corrections? All right, seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Thank you, it's unanimous. Under communications. We're going to recognize Mitchell Sibley tonight. Mitchell has been our student representative this year. He's done an excellent job. He's attended practically every meeting unless he has had to be at some sort of a school function. So Mitchell, thank you for all of your work and for all of your time. We certainly appreciated it. And on behalf of the board and the superintendent, we'd like to present you with this card and gift. Wish you very good luck next year as a senior. We'll be seeing you around here. Public participation. Have anyone for public participation this evening? Sarah?
I told you I would be back. I want to make a comment about, in general, about our schools. There is a very subtle difference between schools in the community and school community. And I'm not going to try to explain the difference. I just want to make note of the fact that last week there were 3 very obvious illustrations at Nananoque Junior High School of a school community. The staff of junior high school needs to be commended. They need to be recognized. I'm very proud of the staff at the junior high. A similar attempt was made by the staff at another school, and unfortunately it was rebuffed 3 times. I'm very proud of the staff. The result, not so much. There are a couple of items on the agenda that I'd like to address. One of them is the budget. I think that you are bringing up a budget, and I understand it was the same one that was brought up before. I'm disappointed in that. The budget did not pass the town meeting agenda without being amended. It didn't pass the amendments, didn't pass the validation, and probably should not have. However, there were many suggestions that were made that I think could have been made in the budget, and if they had been, it wouldn't have increased the budget, it wouldn't have set any precedent for sustainability, but it would have indicated that you as a board do hear and listen to the input from the public. There is another item on the agenda that's very routine. You're being asked to approve hires, give the superintendent the right to hire during the summer, and that's just a formality. When they are interviewed and that takes place, they need to understand that it is pending board approval, and that's not in the motion. Perhaps it goes without saying, but I think it should be in the motion that the superintendent may offer contracts pending board approval. When candidates come to you, whenever, during the summer or the fall, be sure that they are adequately qualified, that they have all of the certifications that they are supposed to have. If they don't have those certifications, don't hire them. If perchance you are stuck where you have to hire somebody that does not have the adequate certification, then I suggest that you make adjustments to their salary to offset any stipend that might have to be paid for overseeing them. That way, the budget is not affected. And finally, please remember your teachers. They're very important. Respect your teachers. Listen to your teachers. They all have some raft of information that's worth listening to. They may be at the bottom of the chain of command, but as my dear father would have said, by golly, they're the most important.
Anyone else?
Tracy Markson, I know this is gonna be probably the last time that Larry's here, and I just wanted to tell him and Anita how much we very much will miss them, how much we respect and admire them, and how irreplaceable they are. And I just want to let you know that publicly, although I know you know I feel that way. And Anita definitely knows I feel that way. She's my dear friend. And I hope you guys come back, and I hope to see you again, and we'll miss you while you come.
Anyone else? Okay, then we will move on. Now, personnel. We have some retirements, some resignations. We have Rose White, grade 5A music, has retired. Resignation, Stephanie Mulligan from the middle school is moving out of state. Kim Pelkey has, the secretary at MA, has taken a position at Health Access Network for 3 days a week. Michael Kleinlaw has taken a position as a Russian lecturer at Bowdoin College. Larry Malone is taking the superintendency for RSU 50. Linda Taft has resigned her position as ed tech. Anita McCafferty will take the Camden job at Reed Grove Middle School. Transfers, we have Beth Byers-Smalls, who's transferring from the middle school computer position to the 7-8 science position. Bundy Archer is moving from ELA support to a 7-8 grade language arts position. Casey McCare is moving from 5-6 ELA support to 6th grade ELA social studies. Robbie Arnold is moving from grade 4 to grade 2. Holly Layton has accepted the half-time K-8 art position. Amy McCarthy is moving from kindergarten to early K. Linda Kimball is moving from middle school secretary to the adult education coordinator. Laura Albert has accepted the secretary position at MA. Adam Terrio is moving from math to computer at the middle school. Jody Bisson is moving from Title I ELA to grade 5-6 ELA. Sandy Mulligan will move into the HR business manager position, and Kim House is moving from a contracted social worker to a full-time social worker. Okay, reports from staff. Rick Coordinator, Mrs. Bernard.
I have some information for you. On July 9th, we are hosting a leadership retreat for RSU 67. John Savitsky from the Department of Education is coming up to lead it for us. It's one day. And on that leadership, at that Leadership Institute, we extended the invitation to everybody in the district who wanted to take a leadership role or has a leadership role. So in attendance is going to be not only the administrators, but 20 teachers. And this invitation is going out to the board of directors as well, because we'd love to have any of you that can join us on that day to join us. This is what the notebook looks like for the Institute. I don't want you to get afraid of it. We're going to read some of the things in it. Some people in our front row will be getting one of these too to read. But the day's going to be about change, about leadership, about the direction that education is coming, and we want to have as many voices and ears at the table as we can. So if it's something that you're interested in doing, it'll be 8 to 3 here at MA on Monday, July 9th. Please let me know, and I will make sure that Lisa builds one of these notebooks for you. We get it to you along with the reading assignment. We're really excited about it. Please let me know. Thank you.
Any questions from Mrs. Bernard? Okay, Mrs. McDonald.
I submitted my board report, which seems like forever ago now. If you have any questions, I can answer them. And since I submitted this, I've met with all the special education teachers by building to look at student needs, schedules for next year, support staff and all of that, to make plans in June so we can work through that in the summer to have it up and running in the fall. Also, yesterday, the Gifted and Talented Committee, we met all day long to look at screening tools, our referral process, selection process. We had a really nice day. We were all there and have some great ideas, and I'm putting everything together to work on our Gifted and Talented program. So a lot came out of that day that we're going to be working on, communicating through email for the summer, and then looking at implementing in the fall. So, did anybody have any questions?
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Petras.
Good evening. I'll give you an update. We finished the year very well. We completed graduation and it went off without a hitch. I think all of the speakers at graduation and the students who had their speeches did a great job. It seemed to be a very upbeat graduation. We had no incidents at all on project graduation or graduation itself, which is always a very good thing. Presently working on the schedules for next year. Guidance is active in that, as well as special education. Met today to put together a schedule. We're probably going to be doing a lot of hand selecting classes for students, more so than we've done in the past, in trying to organize students in a way that would be beneficial for them in groupings, for either behavior or maybe academics as well. So I think that's pretty much it, unless you have questions.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Mr. Malone.
I sent you my, again, case that seems like forever. There are some things, we did have a good end of the year. Things closed up very well. We had some other field trips that happened, especially for some great with the main outdoor education program. We had very good attendance at our completion ceremony. That went very well. Weather cooperated at the end, it stopped raining, and they were able to get outside at the end and be with their family. Ms. Hamlin has gone over a lot of the staffing transfers. This seems like we had a few requirements and people are moving around to those positions and filling those, and so there still are some vacant positions to be filled. Currently closing up school, as she announced that there is only 1 week left in the office there, so we're in the process of kind of closing up school and making sure that we're supporting Elliot as we're going through that. We should have that all done within a reasonable amount of of time. At the same time, trying to build some transition in as well. I've been preparing things for the incoming administrator, so that there'll be some notes there as well as our opening year checklist. We're working on the schedule, and I've been already buying the revised student handbook, which will go out next week. We've also put in what we can read now until we have some of the final pieces of the teacher handbook that they will need. All that will be ready as well, maybe the pieces that they will need to do. I've met with Mrs. Hamlin, and we'll come to a date to be next Friday will be my last day, so I'll be in and out of the office, so there'll be things there that I will help support as we're going through. I'd just like to say it's with mixed emotions that I leave. It has been absolutely my pleasure to have worked 12 years at NJHS. It's been a wonderful experience. I'm very proud of the many accomplishments that I know that staff and students have had during my 12 years there. I hope that they continue during that period of time after I leave. I had many memorable moments that I'd like to take with me that I will share from the experiences with staff and students. Some of them are in pictures, and some of them are just engraved in an old man's head. So I can say my career has provided me many learning opportunities, and a lot of them happened right here. So thank you for that opportunity. Thanks.
Board, good luck in your new position. We wish you the very best. And this is a big career step for you, and I'm sure you'll be very successful. And thank you for all that you have done for NJHS, because we appreciate it as well. Did anyone have any questions for Ms. Milano? Okay, Mrs. Bishop is not here with us tonight. Ms. DeBetz, Chris.
We've got, please note the front and back, 2 reports for June. Was very happy to have 4 students join some Carleton Project students from Holton and Presque Isle. They marched and they were very proud of their accomplishments. Those 4 graduates, and then plus another since graduation have graduated, so it makes a total of 9 students that have graduated this year. I had a total of 23 for the year. If you guys have any questions with regards to my report, let me know. We're very excited for a Katahdin trip next Thursday. We're going up to hike the Chimney Pond Trail, so that'll be fun. Hopefully do some tree edge identification, maybe a little fishing on the way. Students really wanted to do the entire mountain, but I don't know, I told them I couldn't handle the whole mountain. So I let them off the hook easy with that one. Please, any questions?
You're still on the waiting list, the waiting list to get into the Carleton?
Yeah, it's a smaller waiting list now. I've had 4 interviews, I had 1 no-show. So I have 4 students who are starting with me July 16th.
For a total of?
That'll bring me back up to 14.
You still have a waiting list?
Not really waiting though. I mean, I guess they're on hold, but on the waiting list. So I use the term loosely when I say waiting list. I've had many discussions with Andrea and Jesse through the guidance department, and we're holding off on a few students, and we're waiting to see how they do and if they improve. And we'll take another look at them in the fall.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you. Great question.
Any questions? Anyone else have any questions? Thank you, Chris, for
Thank you.
a great year. Mr. Heenan.
Guys, I should have a copy of my report. Basically, this administrator is kind of winding down, time to really take business, so starting to get going on all our summer projects. We had a little bit of wet weather towards the end of the year. I thought the ground school did a great job of keeping that up to stable. We got playoff teams and stuff, so I wanted to thank them guys for doing a good job of that. At the high school here, the soccer field, the grass is growing well, and the drainage seems to be working pretty well here, so I'm pretty excited about about that. The field should be ready to roll in August. The sidewalk project has started, you know, it's outside there, and that's moving along pretty well. We're putting concrete out there, should be pouring our first cement on Friday for that. Mrs. Hamel and I attended Tom McCare's CAD class presentations. They did, one of the project was to design a new canopy for the entrance to this high school here, and we saw four projects, and they did a fantastic job, some really good ideas. So we're looking forward to working with, actually making them, one of them into a reality down the road. So we did a great job with that. Junior high, we've got some projects starting down there. Calvert, the same thing. Got a lot of work going on there. Everything's moving along pretty well with the buildings right now, with the cleaning and the renovations. As far as the bus garage, we had a DOT inspection, and all in all, the buses were in pretty good shape. Just a few minor things we had to address. Talked to Dennis today. He's got the summer school schedule all worked up, all the runs and everything, so that should be all good to go. Just a couple other quick things. You guys have been down by the district office, and the nice flower garden work down there. Christine Dubai, her students did the majority of the work down there, so if you see her, thank her for doing that. She did a great job with that. We're getting bids for a lot of our projects in, and those are coming in pretty good. We're getting pretty good pricing on those. Myself and the D&Gs will be going to some also training next week. That's, I guess, most of the highlights. Anybody have any questions?
Any questions?
This sounds like a busy schedule.
Yeah, you have a lot going on, but you got a good crew. They're really doing a good job. They're really enthusiastic right now, so really excited about getting this work done this summer. I think the school's in good shape for the fall.
Dave, what type of electrical work are you allowed to do now with the recent changes?
Okay, can't answer that specifically. After my training next week, I'll be able to tell you a lot more about it. We did, the state passed a law to allow non-licensed craftsmen to do minor electrical repairs. And I don't know specific, but as far as like changing out receptacles and stuff like that, we'll be able to do it. I don't know quite to the extent that we will be able to do that, so all the DEs will be trained to do that. And that should save us a little money over the years, because pretty much anytime you bring an electrician in, it's a half hour, an hour, it's $30, $40, $50 a whack, so we should be able to save some money doing just training. So. Any other questions?
Thank you, sir. Board committee reports, operations, Dave?
I've been well covered, I can leave it all there.
Policy committee, we haven't met, and we haven't scheduled another date, so we're working on how to let you know. Personnel committee?
We have not met since our last meeting either. We will schedule and advise the committee members of that meeting. We will schedule a meeting sometime probably in the month of July.
Okay, thank you. Finance committee?
We haven't met since the budget meeting, and
Oh, we met Tuesday night. Where were you?
okay. I'm meeting Delred.
I'm sure, I was.
We haven't had any changes to the budget, so. That's it.
I'm the same way.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot. That motorcycle ride did you
It's gonna do me in that
Region 3, I'm sorry to have to report that Doug Peeler, for health reasons, has had to resign from Region 3. So I need to ask the board members if there's anyone who would like to go on Region 3, because we have another open spot for that. At the last meeting, Becky and Carol Carolyn were here, and Doug was ill, so Sarah kindly sent me a report, so I can report out for Region 3. They continue to work on policies. 19 were dealt with by first readings, second readings, or reviews. They accepted a resignation of an instructor, hired an instructor on probationary contract for the second year, and approved the contract of the guidance student service coordinator, who's Mrs. Sarah Hina. She'll continue in her present position and will be working toward her certification as director, as she works as an assistant to the director. The director reported that the visit from the governor went well. He was able to visit every classroom and interacted well with the students, and was very positive about the school. There is in the works a meeting with the director, David Hatley, the Commissioner of Education, and the governor sometime in August to promote CTE. The director also reported that the financial coordinator position has been filled by another MA graduate, and that's Maureen O'Hara Dela Cruz. Mrs. Hina reported that over a period of 2 days, 81 eighth graders from the sending schools visited Region 3, and several wanted to know where they could sign up immediately. She also reported that at least 37 of the region's graduating seniors have been accepted to various colleges. And then there was a slide presentation explaining the JMG program and some of the things that the students did this year. Several students individually talked about the 5 trophies they won in state competition. They did an awesome job, and you know awesome is Sarah's favorite word. Much better than she said I would have done in their place. Very well dressed, articulate, and they presented 3 checks. One for $2,000, one for $500, and another for $500 to nonprofits. And it was a super program. So thank you, Sarah, for that report. Anything you want to say for your last meeting here?
Listen, this summer I've already checked.
Thanks.
Actually, I do want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a student representative on this board. Because the position of representative is, in our society, we get philosophical here, is a good position to be in. You know, it's a very highly held position. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank the people who I gave my interview to. Thank you for choosing me for this position.
School board reports, I have some preliminary information from the MSMA conference. Included in this packet is a call for resolutions, so if anyone has a resolution for MSMA, I have the forms for it. A call for clinic topics, a call for nomination of board awards, guidelines for the MSBA Business Friend of Education Award, and guidelines for the MSBA Distinguished Service Award, and I have the nomination forms for that, and a call for local school board members to serve on the Maine School Board Association Nominating Committee, and I have the application for that. So if anyone is interested in any of those nominations, or serving on any of those boards, or putting forth a resolution, then see me and I'll give you paperwork. And that's all I have. I'll turn it over to you for your
Another
superintendent.
another meeting.
So another meeting, actually?
Just to review where we are with the regional planning committee to join Lowell. Our last meeting was on June 13th. The plan has been sent off to Drummond and Woodson for a final drafting. I will receive a copy back in July, late July. I'll send a copy off to the committee. They'll have the opportunity to review it and look at any amendments. It will then go back to the attorney for the final draft. In August, the committee will receive the final draft. We'll meet again in September and schedule the public sessions that are needed to, as part of the reorganization committee. The plan is for a November vote and a July 1st start date to transition the financial responsibilities, and then a 2013-2014 September start date. for the remainder of the Lowell students. The work went a little bit slow. We had some trouble getting all of our committee meetings together. It seemed like the spring was very busy for the majority of the committee, but we got some really good work done, and a lot of thoughtful discussion went on. And, the public will have the opportunity to vote in November. We did receive our preliminary NCLB application, our funding, and it looks like we'll have $461,000 to support our Title I, Title IIA, and Title VI programs next year. Several professional development trainings are available. Dave mentioned one, which is the OSHA training. There is a workshop for teacher and leader evaluation that will be put on by Paul Knowles, who is a professor at the university. There's an IRS audit on the 16th. Some of the practices that are coming down based on some of the new legislation around employees. Sandy and I will attend that one. There is a Technology Institute in August, and then a bus driver training in late August, and we're back to school. So that's on the agenda for the professional development. The administrative team will spend about 3 straight days in early July, planning all of our professional development and our in-service days for next year. We'll spend another couple of days back-to-back in late July, and then 2 more in August. And hopefully we will have the year-long planning complete. As Dave Ham mentioned, we visited Tom Vaquer's classroom, and there was some wonderful drafting, cost analysis. They looked at structural components of the new layout for the front. Some of the discussion was about allowing the students to choose the top 2, and then the top 2 presentations would come to the board. They're looking around the financial arena of about $30,000 to do a brand new facelift. Some of them, they're wonderful. They have green space and gardens and a monument in the middle. They've just done some wonderful work. I have to say that Tom Vaquer did a wonderful job. They did a lot of peer review. They evaluated each other on their drafts and their presentation and their body language, and there was some real thoughtful discussion, and I was really excited to be able to attend that. Last night we had a meeting, some of the discussion around the Halton project and where we're going with that. We had a meeting at Mattawamke. Reggie attended, John and Jackie, and some discussions on how we plan to use another meeting, how we plan to use the Mattawamke building and what our options are for either taking the building back as part of the RSU or using the building at a maintenance fee. Again, a lot of thoughtful discussion. The objective is to expand the Carlton project to allow regional programs. Currently, we have to turn away other schools. We're supporting only the RSU, and we do have an opportunity to run at least another classroom. The regional superintendent, if you remember last year, we put together a plan to put in a day treatment program, which would be an opportunity for those students who are either in Bangor, Ellsworth, or other areas of the state in programs such as an autism program or programs for children that are unable to attend public school. So a couple of different options that we looked at. We also looked into potentially a regional adult ed program, which we don't have currently. So we have many opportunities to use that building, so that'll move forward. I did contact the attorney today on the process for taking the building back or having it donated back to us, or whatever the community decides that will go in, and I will let you know as soon as I have that information. So that was exciting. Where have we been? We are in the middle of a principal search for Manamaquah Community High. Just a little bit about the process. We have a committee from the middle school of teachers, and they have screened applications, set the criteria of what they're looking for, developed the interview questions. They selected the top candidates. The administrative team then screen the applications, and we will be interviewing 4 candidates this week. From that, the committee will send 2 finalists to the administrative team, and from there, a candidate will be selected. Once we have a principal, we will then use the same process for the assistant principal. We have a new ADAP at MA, who's on the agenda. We can wait until we get to him, and we have our NCLV coordinator for Chris Turner. We're spending a lot of time right now getting ready for the end of the year report, preparing our financial documents for the auditor, cleaning up any of those old requisitions that are hanging around when we're looking for invoices. So the office is pretty busy right now. Anyone has questions? Any questions?
Okay, thank you. No old business, under new business. A motion to accept or not accept the Personnel Committee's recommendation to give Blue Sheet personnel a 2% raise for the 2012-2013 budget year. May I have a motion?
Recommended by the Personnel Committee, and the Chair would like to recommend that this be adopted.
Okay, you're gonna make the recommendation, sir? Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Carolyn? Any discussion?
Because we're right now operating under last year's budget, until we get the new budget, through or not?
We're operating on the last publicly voted budget. This is the last public budget meeting budget.
Okay, so we have the means to take care of that.
Any other discussion or any other questions? All right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? It's unanimous, thank you. A motion to accept or not accept the superintendent's recommendation to extend Norm Wargle's contract for the 2012-2013 school year with a 2% raise. May I have a motion?
Motion to accept.
May I have a second? Any discussion?
Norm is our school psychological evaluator. He is the individual that we contract his services out to other school systems. We actually only pay a portion of his salary and bill to surrounding communities for his service. He did not receive a salary increase last year, as you remember, administrators did not receive the salary increase.
How many days is he available to us now?
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
And is that meeting all of our needs?
If Mrs. McDonald.
Yes, because he also works through the summer, if needed to do evaluations. And if he goes to one of his other contracted schools and they don't need him for any reason, he comes to our school. So sometimes we may have him more than 2 days a week. If we need him for a meeting, he works with his other schools to try to adjust his schedule, so he kind of where his priority. So. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? All right, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Thank you, it's unanimous. A motion to authorize the superintendent to hire during the summer months. May I have a motion?
So moved. Make the motion that the superintendent has the authority to hire during the summer months, subject to approval.
Pending the approval of the board.
Second.
All right. So, let's vote on the amendment first, that we're gonna add pending to the approval of the board.
Point of order.
Get a second for my main motion.
You had 2 competing motions. One was second and the first was put to the wayside for the lack of a second.
Okay.
So the motion is that give it approval, subject to, approval to hire, subject to approval of the board.
Okay, so that's the amendment.
That's the motion. That was the motion.
Okay, so we just add it to the whole thing then. Okay, all right, let me read the whole motion then. Motion to authorize the superintendent to hire during the summer months pending the approval of the board. So, Reggie, I put you, David, because you're the one who made that. So we'll put you as the motion. Who's gonna second it?
I second the entire motion.
Okay, so any discussion? We all understand that we've added the word "and pending the approval of the board." And that is the statute in there. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Thank you, it's unanimous. A motion to authorize the superintendent to move 5% from line to line in the budget. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Any discussion?
I take it this is so we can adjust the last approved budget to meet our needs?
No, that's just for the 2011, 2012 to clean up all of the accounts before we close the accounts on June 30th. So we should have a year on it.
It should be clear. Right.
So can I have an amendment? We have the motion, and we have a first and a second. We can have an amendment to add for the school year 2011, 2012.
So moved.
Okay. Do I have a second? All right, so, any discussion?
By statute, the superintendent can move 5% from line to line in the budget. It's by statute, state law.
Okay, but
It doesn't matter what our agenda says, it's by statute.
Okay, but let's just add the school year, so it's very clear. Okay? All those in favor of adding school year 2011, 2012? Call for the vote. Okay, all those opposed? So it's 9-1. Now, back to the main motion, a motion to authorize the superintendent to move 5% from line to line in the budget for school year 2011, 2012. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous, thank you. Voted that the computation and declaration of votes dated and attached hereto be and it is hereby approved. Further voted that the computation and declaration of votes be entered upon the records of the regional school unit. Further voted that a certified copy of the computation and declaration of votes be sent to each of the municipal clerks within the regional school unit. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Any discussion? Would you like me to read the votes? The town of Chester, 21 in the affirmative, 46 in the negative. Town of Lincoln, 183 in the affirmative, 359 in the negative. The town of Mattawamkeag, 32 in the affirmative, 63 in the negative, for a total of 236 in the affirmative and 468 in the negative. And the school board hereby declares that said question has failed. And we need to sign this document before we leave tonight. Any questions? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the computation? All right, thank you, it's unanimous. A motion to adopt the fiscal year 2012-2013 school budget. Voted that the warrant for the regional school board budget, unit budget meeting presented to the meeting be and is hereby approved, and that the regional school unit budget meeting be and is hereby called for July 11th, 2012, for the purpose of voting on the annual budget for the regional school unit for the 2012-2013 fiscal year. Further voted that the warrant and notice of election for the regional school unit budget validation referendum presented to the meeting be and is hereby approved, and that the regional school unit budget validation referendum be and is hereby called for July 31st, 2012, for the purpose of approving the budget adopted at the regional school unit budget meetings for the 2012-2013 fiscal year. Further voted that the form of notice of amounts adopted at budget meeting presented to this meeting be and is hereby approved, and that the superintendent of schools of the regional school unit is hereby authorized and directed to complete said notice by adding the amounts approved by the voters for each expenditure category and the total school budget summary expenditure amount, all in accordance with the regional school unit budget meeting on July 11, 2012, and to cause copies of said notice as completed to be delivered to the municipal clerks of each municipality of the regional school units for posting at the polling places for the July 31st, 2012 regional school unit budget validation referendum. May I have a motion? Motion to accept. And second?
Second.
Any discussion?
As chairman of the finance committee, and after discussing with the finance committee, I would like to say that the budget that we put forth first, the $12,300,000, fiscally responsible, it took 8 months to put together. Moving forward, I'd like to have budget meetings next year where the public comes and participates. Not just comes and walks, but comes and participates in our budget process to see how many months it takes to put this together. I think that's fiscally responsible. I think we have things in place where we need to have this budget right now. And we don't want to raise $700,000 next year, so, from taxes. I did, if we can make copies for the folks here that want copies, I got the taxes from the tax assessor in the town of Lincoln, just in Lincoln, what $1 mill rate would do on top 10 taxpayers. And it just, 3 mills could devastate people. The top 10 taxpayers pay 31.2% of the 32.18% of the entire tax in Lincoln. So having everything in mind, the taxpayers, the students, faculty, I think we need to go forward with this budget right now and come back next year. And I still want to stay on the 5-year plan to raise the teachers' salaries. I think that's fiscally responsible. I think that's where we need to be. And we want to raise those salaries, make no mistake about it. But we need to come back with this $12.3 million budget because, not just because it's fiscally responsible, but because the voters have come out and said almost 2-1 that the budget we brought forward from the meeting was not more.
No, this is a per mill increase?
It's a dollar for mill rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, $1 for mill rate. And you know, if you're talking raising Lincoln Paper and Tissue, $56,000 for each mill, we're talking somewhere between 3 and,
That's a job.
you know, that's an employee. And, you know, they employ 400 people. MS 8067 was 380 in Penobscot Valley, 227. So anybody can have a copy of this. I got this right from Ruth Birds. So I just think we need to go forward with that original one.
I'd like to see us table this for a while until we have a chance to have a get together as a board and have the meeting over there, have the opening discussion.
taxpayers would say since our last meeting?
No. Okay, because you said, anyone else?
I would agree. I agree with you saying, and I appreciate all the work that the finance committee has done. But I think what you just spoke of is trying to make it next year better for everybody. I think if we could table it and wait until, Dave Shannon, after his own finance committee, he's not a good turn, anyone else is. And have the chance for the finance committee to answer any questions the rest of the board has, that we can do that right now. Well, I think it would be nice to come prepared to do that and have that discussion and just be, like you said, be responsible for the concerns and just get it out there. And I think it's probably a good budget too, Joan. I'm not disputing that, but we did hear a lot of questions and it'd be nice to have an opportunity to have a board discussion about it so we all can vote confidently. Because I did hear things I didn't understand at that meeting. So it'd be nice to just get clarity on it.
I guess if the board wants to table it, we can table it. We're looking at a special election right now.
But have to be careful of your timeline.
Yeah, we can't, I mean.
You have to vote, you have to go to referendum on the 31st.
Right.
We're already looking at many thousands of dollars in this budget process and the cost to the communities. And you're looking at 3 different communities. So, I don't know what your questions might be. We put forth that $12.3 million budget that includes salary increases for every employee in the district. We've looked at salary increases of $100,000 last year for teachers, $100,000 this year for teachers, in addition to picking up 10.5% of the insurance cost increase. So if it's, I would like to hear what the questions are.
If we can schedule a meeting, I think we can get it all out and find out.
I would
all
just
that. But I
ask you to be mindful of the 11th. We will not have another board meeting. Unless you want to have a special board meeting tomorrow. No? And we have interviews scheduled for maybe 7:30. Because we have a timeline that has to be met. And again, the budget process that started with the teachers in the classroom, went to the building administrators, went to the administrative team, and worked with the finance committee for the past 8-9 months now. In order to bring a fiscally responsible budget back to the taxpayers, I don't know what can change. Because we're not looking at this year, we're looking at a trend from prior years and moving forward in the future without having carry forward balance and stimulus funds. So, we're not looking at a snapshot in time, we're looking at a progression of spending practices and budget.
Just a particular question.
I-
Chair.
Yes.
You do have a motion on the floor with the secretary. And you're in the discussion process of that. I think this is what you were about to ask. If some of our colleagues here have specific questions, it's not like we're not familiar with this, but we've been working on it for a long time. And we've had this information. So I think if there are specific questions, this would be the time, because we need to do Microsoft calendar. And so I think this would be the time for the questions. I think this is a very solid budget. It's been worked through. What I've been able to see it, and there's no one board member, there have been some versions of this that came through with higher numbers of years, were pared down. There was some that were rolled, it was brought back in, there were things that were put in, taken out. It's not like it was just kind of put into a computer and cranked out. This was thoughtfully done. And I think we ought to approve it and move forward. That's my sense. If there's questions, I the ask. I haven't been through this process probably more than anybody else sitting at this table right now. I fully understand and appreciate the time and effort that goes into do a budget and whatnot, but there'd be no doubt I understand that fully. Having said that, there was issues that were raised up concerning this budget at the last public meeting, and the public has spoken, and I think we would have an opportunity to sit down and talk about this. This is kind of rushed and whatnot. One of my concerns that I heard was that the fact that decline in enrollment, that we have a school, the elementary school, we're talking about admin administration and then decline in enrollment. Admin administration is a place that we've never had it before. There's issues and concerns in the public on that. If they deserve an explanation as to why they need to. At a time when we're in fiscal constraints, if we're about money, then why we added positions when we're cutting other areas.
You want an answer for that?
You want an answer for that? Okay. The Alberta is, we're not looking at declining enrollment. Our pre-K program here, we are working with more and more students. The other thing is we have a building with 100 more students without any help at all for the building administration. We have an assistant principal and an athletic director at the middle school. They have around 330 students, the same thing for the high school. We also have an assistant there to help the students. We have a grant that's worth over about $500,000 that needs due diligence to maintain the documentation within the federal compliance requirements. And we did have someone who was doing that position who left and went to be principal in Kingman. And we went a year without someone. And we realized that in order to stay federally compliant with the paperwork and the student data, the instructional programs, we need to have that position back.
And that position is managing the grant,
Yes, it is.
half-time position.
It is. And the logical place, remember that it's, Title I is K-8. So that individual is also servicing the middle school, not just the Alberta. The reason the individual is located at the Alberta school is to provide the extra support to the principal and help with student discipline or whatever else. But there is a significant amount of staff and federal grant compliance that needs to happen with that.
And I fully understand about the grant one, I think that's what people's concern is, yeah, we may have a uptick in the population, but we are, even so, we're down below what we have always been before when we had one administrator. I think the concern is there is there a need for it? Is there enough work there to justify this obligation?
There is a significant amount of work that has been in the two buildings. The other two buildings, you have two administrators working with 100 fewer students. At Alberta, you have one administrator who also manages the reading recovery, the Title I, and the federal grant.
That's fairly true statement, but historically, that's the way it's always been. So the real question is, what's the change now?
The year that I came, was the year that
When I was there, I was assistant principal for 7 years at Alberta, and I was a reading specialist at the same time.
Well, I stand corrected that. When you rephrase that, how long has it been since we've had just one person?
the NCO, the coordinator for the grant, left
Have
the
you
year that
the assistant principal more than the?
Okay, well,
grant?
I guess if you get away from the assistant principal focus and focus on the NCLB grant and the management of the reading recovery and the Title I, that's really what that position is. Because it's housed in a building with only one administrator, that the combination to help with the discipline is there. But it's truly an NCLB coordinator. And if you recall, we had an individual, Beth Isles, who managed all of the documentation. The year I came, the year she left, and that position was parted out to building administration. And that grant has not been managed as it needs to, because there's only so many things you can put on someone's plate. It's a $500,000 grant. If we're not in federal compliance, we just finished our 5-year rotation, the taxpayers will pay back that money. They will pay back in our next 5-year rotation. The federal grant fund, we're out of compliance with the federal grant. And it is an essential position, and, you know, as the individual that handles the personnel in the district, it is a position that is necessary. There's only so much you can put on a principal's plate when they have all of the other requirements, and special ed we're moving towards into the teacher evaluation piece, the principal evaluation piece, with using student data, we're moving to the Common Core, we're moving to the smarter balanced assessment system. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. This grant must be managed, or we will, I guess our other option would be not to take the federal grant.
Well, obviously, that's not gonna happen. We should be managed, let's say, the old that. Again, my issue, I don't think the taxpayers' issue is the management of the grant, it is with the assistant principal.
Well, the assistant principal is a title. It's housed at the LMR. I mean, we could house the NCLB coordinator in middle school. Would that change the public's mind? It wouldn't add the support to the well, I mean, it wouldn't add the support to the LMR where it's needed. No, it's an essential position, because if it was not, we would not be putting a position in. It's not a random thought, it's a need. I mean, if you wanna go around, well, you only have Mr. Malone here, but if you wanna look at what it takes to manage that grant, it's pretty significant. And the principals do not have that time on their plate to manage that grant the way it needs to be managed.
So we can manage it in insufficient way.
That's right, we tried it, we could not do it. When we lost the individual who managed it had to be a principal at Human, and that was 2 years ago. And we tried it last year, and it didn't, when we tried
So
it.
is there an opportunity to put in a half-time position there without the assistant principal?
Why? I mean, I'm telling you that there's 100 more students, they're young, they start at age 4, they go to 4th grade. It's the neediest building as far as support. The children are the youngest. I mean, I guess your argument could be that the assistant principal at the middle school only needs to be the athletic director. Well, I'm just, you know, I mean, if you're looking at what the support needs to be, there needs to be the support in the building. There needs to be support for the number of children and the age. There needs to be someone there to help manage the federal grant. Now, we can move 100% into the federal grant. That's not a problem either. If the taxpayers don't feel that they can support that, you can talk them out of the federal grant. And then the taxpayers don't pay anything. We can move the whole salary into the federal grant.
If we can, why didn't we? I'm just curious.
Madam Chair, until the grant comes to a point where it's not there anymore, then we have that position that has been fully paid for by the grant, that we would have to pick up.
Jim, your NCLB funds are based on your pre-revision.
That's probably not going to go away.
No, until the federal government changes that. But the point was to maintain all current programs and services and staffing, to fund it partially with local and partially with federal grant. But it can very easily be moved into 100% of the federal grant.
Where is the rest of the federal grant going with this?
Paying for staff, for your Title I staff, your reading recovery staff.
But if we can fund this position totally,
We don't have to lose a support staff member to do it.
then why didn't we just select to do that? I'm just trying to
Because
understand.
we're trying not to lay off any support staff, Title I ed tech.
You just said we can do both.
No, it can't be both, it can be one or the other. It's a choice. The point was to maintain our current staffing levels. So we did not have to, so we had the support we needed both at the Ellabur and the junior high and the NCLB grant, and not to have to lay off staff. Now, we can certainly move and fund it 100% out of the grant, but the consequence to that becomes someone's job. And that's what we were trying not to do.
Okay.
And that statement, that's not what the finance committee or the personnel committee thought would be, when we reviewed this, both committees reviewed this. That's not
It's not what it
not,
is.
not what was discussed. And, you know, if we mismanage that grant, we're gonna have to pay that $2.5 million back. That's not something we want to do. We have a motion on the floor. I think when it comes time to put together next year's budget, we all need to be at those budget meetings. I was at the budget meetings. I want the public at the budget meetings. But this board did not make the initial personnel decisions. I don't have a degree in school finance. I don't have a degree in finance period. And, you know, that's why we hired a superintendent with a degree in finance, with a degree in special education. And that's why we have that professionalism there. And the superintendent was hired to put this budget together. It was reviewed all the way along with the finance committee and the personnel committee. We tried to save a job. You see that Laura L. is re-employed. I'm very happy about that. You know, this budget, we're trying to do what we said. If people get laid off, we're trying to bring them back. We're trying to do what we said. I don't believe it's for us to say, we know best, and we're not in that school all the time. I don't believe it's for us. It's not for me. I won't speak for you, maybe. It's not for me to say that I know what personnel is needed in that school. I don't believe I'm qualified for that. So I'm an elected member that is briefed on this budget and briefed on personnel decisions, and I'm one vote. I believe we have a motion on the floor. I'd like to vote.
I thought we could discuss it now instead of table it.
If you have questions, sure, I'm out. Madam Chair.
The question asked it. Well, there was also questions about stipends, and I just didn't understand them. They came up at that same meeting. I wasn't aware of, I think I was aware of one stipend. I wasn't aware of if, in fact, there are other stipends that are in this budget. I don't understand who they're for or what they're for, but that was a concern that,
We have CRT, curriculum team leaders, there's one for each grade level. There's one for department heads, those are each $1,000. Those are your teacher leaders. We have service learning. Those are $500 stipends moving forward for next year for the service learning coordinators. Those are also teachers. We have mentor teaching. We've increased that stipend to $750 for next year. Those are all teachers. We have gifted and talented stipends for our gifted and talented coordinators. Those are paid out of the gifted and talented funding grant.
who's our gifted and talented person?
Okay. Who are your gifted and talented staff?
Don Layton at Ellenborough, Heather Rockwell at the junior high, Holly Smart at high school, and Trevor Marco, K-12 for visual performance.
We have, the administrators were all receiving a stipend to try to manage the grant.
This NCLE grant,
Yep.
They will be in.
that will go away when we hire somebody to do that job, but was that money in the budget?
No, that was out of the grant, but you asked about stipend.
No, I'm asking,
What
the
stipend?
way the questions came out, I'm trying to process it. I didn't sit in the finance committee. I will next year to make sure I'm more informed, so I apologize, but.
You're talking about stipends out of the taxpayer dollars.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's what you have for stipends that I just read off. Anything else comes out of federal grants. Those are not
Well-
part of this budget.
Money is money. If it's coming out of a grant, the
Well,
grant
not-
money's not being used for
Not
something else.
if you're looking at this budget. You're looking at this budget, correct?
I'm just asking, that's the clarity I was hoping we could have a chance to get before we vote on.
So you have things that are paid out of federal grants, and you have things that are paid out of the general budget. This community and this board votes on the general budget expenditures.
So in the general budget, there were questions asked about stipends that were being received. But NCLE NCLB stipend, I believe you received a stipend for that.
That's federal grant.
Is that in this next year's budget?
It's federal grant.
That was for last year's budget.
That's federal grant. It comes out of
So you-
federal grant. It's not in the budget you're looking at all. It comes out of the federal grant.
You're taking money out of the federal grant for a stipend for doing the
And managing the federal
NCLB.
grant, yes.
But if we hire a coordinator, what would happen to that stipend?
You would need the stipend. You would have a coordinator.
Well, that's my question.
Yeah.
If it's coming, when does it, if it's, is it, I guess that's my question. Is it in this budget somehow
It's not
or
in that
not?
budget, no, it's a federal grant. It's not in this budget. Federal grants are completely outside of what the taxpayers authorize for
But you
expenditure.
just said the NCLB grant pays for either this new coordinator or ed techs. So if you're taking a stipend out of it, that's money coming out of it that would be, if you will, someone's position or someone's part. I don't know, I'm asking, that's a chunk of change that something's being paid for.
But those are all federal. Those, you have to take the federal completely out of what you're talking about with this budget. It's not in here. It's not subject to taxpayer approval. It's not subject to this. Because you're talking about this budget. The federal grants are something else.
And there has been in the past, the special ed director got a stipend for the NCLB. And it came out of the federal money.
And that was about $6,000. And there's also, the former special ed director received another $4,000 stipend for writing the stimulus application, which came out of the federal fund prior to. So if, you know, I mean, I don't know what you're looking for.
I'm just
Okay.
trying to repeat the questions that were
Okay.
asked that confused me the night of the
You know, if
vote.
you come into the office, I can go through
You know what I'm
and
doing.
I can give you that.
You want me to vote on something, I'm trying to get clarity so I can vote on
But
it.
you asked, so we have federal funds and general funds. The budget that the taxpayers vote are, the NCLB funds are not part of this budget. The staffing who are paid with federal funds, whether it's ed tech, regional recovery, Title I teachers, are not part of this budget.
So the stipends that were discussed that night, particularly I don't remember now if there was more than one stipend that was directed towards you.
One,
And I think there was several stipends directed towards Deb, and I don't know if there was any directed towards any other administrator.
all of them,
They all come out of grant money,
federal grant.
none out of the budget.
Only teacher stipends come out of the general budget.
We would be going away from last year's budget, which was, had the administration of the grant based on stipends, to this year's budget, the administration of the grant will be coming from the new position.
Yes.
And that new-
Because, I mean, that's, you don't need to pay stipends when you've hired someone to do that job.
So that's the point I'm trying to get
Okay,
clarity.
well, yes,
Communication, communication,
right.
communication.
You don't pay stipends when you hire someone to do a job.
Right.
And how many hours did you put in on that grant last year?
You can't, it's not even, you can't count them. It's ongoing, it's weeks, months.
But it's needed, it's needed, so we don't have to.
I mean, your building administrators, they manage portions of the grant, they supervise staff, they collected student data, they made sure that the documentation.
But you won't be administering that grant this year.
I
This
believe
person,
so.
we will have somebody, so you will have more time to do superintendent
Yeah,
duties.
that would be nice.
That's kind of,
Where is that grant before?
that's,
And portions of it was, the Title II that would stay with the person for it. And Title II is professional development. But you're not just talking about a document, you're talking about a program that includes staff. The regional recovery staff, your Title I teaching staff, your ed tech staff, and then all of the mandated requirements around that staff, collecting student data, and making sure that you're meeting all of the components of the grant.
I have questions. You've tried to answer some of them, and I appreciate it. I would like to have a chance to get all my questions out, but I'm not gonna.
Any other questions or concerns? Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Second on it.
And so now I'll call for the vote. All of those in favor of accepting or adopting the fiscal year 2012-2013 school budget, please raise your hands. Those opposed? So the vote is 8-2, motion passes. Go to your adjustment page, 6A, a motion to accept or not accept the superintendent's recommendation to appoint Patrice Turner as half-time assistant principal, half-time NCLV coordinator at Ellicott School at $65,000 for a 2-year contract. May I have a motion?
Motion to accept.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? John?
It's 65,000 for each year, or in the second year we renegotiate?
Renegotiate contract.
Okay, that's the way all our
Yeah.
administrators do
Yeah.
it, so.
Jim?
Yeah, I'd just like to add that I've known Pat for all of my life, or at least the part I can remember. And I can't probably think of a more competent person to have this position.
Thank you.
Just to summarize, Patrice has experience as a school counselor. She is O2O certified, which is K-8 general certification. She also is a literacy specialist, 092, K-12 certification. She holds an 075 guidance certification. She also holds an 045 assistant principal certification. She is a former RSU 67 employee, kindergarten reader and recovery teacher, and one program. We're glad to have her here. The interview process, there was a group of Ellaborough teachers who started the process, screened applications, developed the criteria they were looking for, established interview questions. There were a number of applicants who interviewed. The top 2 candidates came to the administrative team. The administrators did the interview process, and Patrice was selected unanimously.
Any other questions or comments? I would just like to say that I've known Patrice my whole life too, and I'm older than she is. And I have worked with her as a colleague, as an administrator, and then she became my boss when I was her ed tech. And I too agree with you, Jim. I don't think we could find a better candidate than her. So I throw my support behind her.
And I think that we're lucky to have her.
Any other discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Welcome, Mrs. Turner. Welcome back.
It's good to be there. I work hard with the staff, and also do what's right for kids, I promise.
I know you are. Thank you. A motion to accept or not accept the superintendent's recommendation to appoint Richard Myers as assistant principal AD at Madden Norfolk Academy at $74,000 for a 2-year contract. May I have a motion?
Motion to accept.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I will summarize. Mr. Meyer sitting in the front row. He's been up here all afternoon. He's actually started today, I think.
Well, I try and find my way around anyway. I won't take care of it.
He is from Gray, Maine. He is part of the Lewiston school system. He is the JMD coordinator there. He's got a number of accomplishments. He is a work with incarcerated youth and transition them back into school. He was on the state response to intervention committee. He worked with the National JAG Educational Conference Committee. He's an active member of the PIS community, the Positive Behavior Support community. He's done a wonderful job. He came with sterling reviews. He has a significant amount of athletic background. He currently does soccer camps at Bates College. He's Central Community College women's head coach. He's been basketball coach, soccer coach, head varsity coach at Lewiston, assistant track coach, field coach, varsity coach, boys basketball, coach at Noble Middle School, varsity girls coach at Noble High School, a number of committees and organizations, and works with the MPA programs, and again, he started off with the teacher interview committee. They established criteria to look at what they were, to look at the qualities that they were looking for, established interview questions. I believe, Mr. Malone, wherever you are, how many candidates did you interview for?
Mr. President,
Yes.
yeah,
Maybe not.
We interviewed 6.
6 candidates. Out of the 6 candidates of the teacher interview, 2 came to the administrative team. The administrative team did some pretty extensive grilling of Mr. Myers, and he surfaced as a unanimous vote for the candidate to the ABCC position. I'm glad to have you.
I'm excited for the opportunity, and I really am looking forward to people I've met so far. In my few days here.
Mr. Myers is looking for a place to live or a good
Yeah,
friend.
contact.
Move his family. Welcome. Any questions?
How big a family?
Wife and 2 children in just leaving college. I have a stepson that's in the military academy at West Point, and a daughter who's basically out of the house. She's gonna have my first grandchild in August, so I'm soon to be a grandparent and get to enjoy that coming up, so.
3 houses in my neighborhood for sale.
All right. Somebody said they had property to sell me, so I don't know, we'll have to check. I can't make the offer.
Any other questions? I will call for the vote. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Thank you, it's unanimous, and welcome, Mr. Myers. Appreciate you coming on with us.
Excited for the opportunity, thank you all. Nice to meet you all.
Let's go back to 6. Motion to accept or not accept the superintendent's recommendation to enter into executive session according to 1 MRSA subsection 4056D to discuss the Education Association Teachers Union contract. May I have a motion? So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous, thank you. And I'll declare us in at 8:25. And we will go into the office.
Thank you, Debbie, thank you, David.
Get going, you're all set.
Okay, I'll declare us out at 9:06. And I'll entertain a motion to accept that we ratify the teacher RSU 67 Teachers Association contract.
Madam Chair, I recommend that we approve this contract and ratify it. It's been approved by, and ratified by the teachers union. And my recommendation as personnel chair that we, as a board, ratify this and so sign.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? right, all those in favor? Thank you, it's unanimous. And at this time, I am going to turn the board over to our vice chair.
Item number 7 on our agenda is a motion to accept or not accept the superintendent's recommendation to enter into executive session according to 1 MRSA subsection 4056A to discuss an administrator's evaluation. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to accept.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor? And it is unanimous.
No, it's not. I'm abstaining.
Oh, okay, sorry, sorry about
I don't know how to get along with it,
Let the record reflect that our board chair has abstained on this particular motion. And we are, we're back into the executive session.
At 9:10.
9:10, yeah. The executive session at 9:51. My watch anyway. And we'll entertain a motion on the renewal and an extension of the contract for Gabe McDonald to 3 years and a salary increase to $70,000 for the year 2012, 2013. And that is reviewed annually.
Move to approve.
Any discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor? I am. And those opposed? One opposed?
Two.
We have two, then, you abstaining today? Okay. 2 abstentions. Okay. So the motion carries, and 7 to 1 opposed and 2 abstentions. The motion carries. Madam Chair, glad to give you.
Thank you, sir. May I have a motion to accept or not accept the superintendent's recommendation to enter into executive session according to 1 MRSA subsection 4056A to discuss a personnel issue?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, it's opposed or okay?
No, okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, unanimous, thanks. And time in is 10:52, 10:53?
No, 9:53.
I'm sorry.
Yesterday afternoon.
Yes, yeah.
Came out at 11, 10, meeting is Wednesday, July 18th, 2012, at 7 PM at Nantucket Academy. Oh, sorry, I have to go back up. No action taken out of that. Oh, I'm in a hurry. Again, next board meeting Wednesday, July 18th, 7 o'clock, Nantucket Academy Library, and then the public budget meeting is on July 11th, 2012, at 6:30 PM. I'm assuming it will be in the cafetorium. Are there any items requested by board members, community, and staff to be included in the next agenda? Okay, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Unanimous, we're out of here. 11:12.
Well, I'll try to meet up with you on Monday.
Yeah, sure.
Um,
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, thank you for
Look
your
forward to working with you.
support.
No problem.